Terry, you'll be first for the last question. I warn you both, this is a long question. President Obama issued the Chesapeake Bay Protection and Restoration Executive Order in May 2009 for states impacting the bay, requiring that they create a plan to limit pollution by sediments, nitrogen, and phosphorus. In September 2010, Maryland released a draft proposal that impacts the agricultural sector, future development, and retrofitting of homeowners' septic systems that are within 1,000 feet of streams. What are your thoughts about this proposal, and how do you propose that the county pay for the oversight requirements? I can repeat if you would like.
Please.
President Obama issued the Chesapeake Bay Protection and Restoration Executive Order in May 2009 for states impacting the bay, requiring that they create a plan to limit pollution by sediments, nitrogen, and phosphorus. In September 2010, Maryland released a draft proposal that impacts the agricultural sector, future development, and retrofitting of homeowner septic systems that are within 1,000 feet of streams. What are your thoughts about this proposal, and how do you propose that the county pay for the oversight requirements?
We were given a little bit of a heads up on some of the subject areas that might be asked tonight, and this was certainly one of them. So I had an opportunity to spend some time with Eric Senstrom, who is the head of the Department of Planning and Zoning, to find out a little bit more about this. In terms of wastewater treatment facilities, the technology has advanced to the point where we have basically maxed out the technology of what we can do. All wastewater treatment plants that have the capacity of 500,000 gallons or more are already implementing advanced nutrient removal systems. But there's going to be two major impacts to Cecil County. The first one is on the agricultural community. I've had an opportunity to read several of the documents from the ag community in concern over these particular sets of dictates, basically from the federal and the state government. Their concerns rely on actually providing food, being able to produce food, and if they're restricted from doing that, they're not going to be able to meet the food needs of the world, actually, is what they said. Now, from a local perspective, our local agricultural community, and I've had an opportunity to spend a number of meetings with them, with their ag advisory committee, is that they feel like they have already done many, many things to mitigate the nutrients that are going into the bay. And in fact, what they had shared at one of the meetings is that studies show that the northern part of the Chesapeake Bay is actually in better condition than other parts. So it seems like what they're doing is working. But one of the most important parts about that is what they shared was that the nutrients are coming from New York and Pennsylvania. So obviously that we are going to need a more than just a county-wide perspective. We're going to need to work with the states, and that might require some federal assistance to do that. The other part of the component is how it impacts our stormwater runoff. Those regulations will change and potentially have and I'll explain a little bit later because my time has run out.
Earl, would you like me to repeat it? No,
sir. I've read the Chesapeake Bay Protection Restoration Plan, and it had a little shady when I was reading it, but it really boils down to stiffer penalties on people dumping into the Chesapeake Bay, and more laws being put up where people are just ignoring them. It really comes from the citizens, really, to start adhering to the policies that are put in place. We as a municipality or county council, we can't make all the corrections, because on the other side of the ocean you have somebody dumping oil and doing everything else that possibly is not meeting our codes. So it's going to have to come to EPA giving stiffer penalties. And as far as the taxpayers funding it, we shouldn't have to fund it. This is all something that should come from the state level, and being able to mandate what we need to do in order so it won't be an impact on our taxpayers.
Thank you. Terry, would you like to respond?
Unfortunately, it is going to have a big impact on the taxpayers, because what will happen if we have to change our regulations, and this is something that is not a maybe, it's going to be, this is what's going to happen, is that the stormwater, especially in the area of the stormwater growth, it actually impairs our ability to do smart growth and impairs our ability to do transit-oriented neighborhoods. It negates many of the good things that Maryland and Cecil County is doing now in terms of planning for growth and what is called for in our comprehensive plan. Eric called it the law of unintended consequences, because what happens when you're not able to implement smart growth, then what happens is the growth will spread to our rural areas because of the supply and demand, which is something that none of us want. Thank you.
Thank you. Earl, would you like to respond?
Yes, good thing I'm not an engineer or a contractor that deals with that stuff, but I know that the town of Elkton has a water and sewer plant that we've been rated really high on the way we've been dealing with our waters, keeping the phosphates down, and we've been getting awards for keeping the water and phosphates, I guess I'm saying this right, low. I worked close with Severn Trent, watching the way our water levels have been documented, and the state's been praising us for it. So there's a lot of things that we've done with the new plant that I know that the county is going to experience, that I've already been through, and I'm talking about experience again, that can be met if you have the right people dealing with it. Again, I'm not an engineer. I can't really have all the answers for that. Thank you.
Thank you. That concludes District 2. Thank you very much, Earl.